Hi there, it's Binky. I am here in Austin today. Actually, I was supposed to fly out last night. I made a video then, but I think I was half asleep because it was like 3 in the morning. So I was supposed to fly out of Austin last night, but there were thunderstorms in the New York City region and it caused flights to be delayed or canceled. My flight was delayed until 9 p.m. and then the flight attendants were gone. They had a pilot, or they had 2 pilots, they had the plane, no flight attendants, so they ended up canceling everything. And they were running out of hotel rooms because I was one of the last people in line, and you know, it was a mess. So they couldn't, this was Thursday night, they couldn't get me out on Friday, so they got me out on Saturday morning, first thing out, which is fantastic. And they did end up finding me a hotel, and they ended up putting me in the executive suite. So I was very polite. I was very nice about it. No screaming or anything. Note to you people, the nicer you are, usually the better things are going to go. So, you know, it wasn't their fault. Well... There were no flight attendants, and it was kind of a mess because then the gate worker walked away. I think she just couldn't hack the anger of a lot of people, and so she just left. She walked out of the podium and didn't come back for 40 minutes, so they brought 2 other people. So it was kind of crazy, but the good news is that I will be going back to Boston. Boston. That's how tired I am. I am on 12 hours of sleep in 3 days, but I will be going back into Austin today because I really don't want to stay in the hotel room in the executive suite all day. Even though it is pretty nice, it's just that's not Binky's way. So I'm going to head back into Austin. This has been a long trip here in Texas, but I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. It's just been it's been eventful, which is usually the way it is with Binky's travels. So, my first impressions of Austin, it's kind of funny because it's really not first impressions. I've been here about a day and a half, and I'm spending another day here thanks to a flight delay. If you're coming to Austin, unless this changes after I publish this video, there is no Lyft and there is no Uber in Austin, so you're going to have to find a different means to get around. And they have a local service as well that works pretty much the same way. First time you use it, at least now, you get $5 off. So I'm going to be heading into Austin and then coming back. I was supposed to fly out last night. That got canceled. Okay. But I have some money in my pocket. So I'm getting a tax return, so it's all good. You kind of have to make the most of situations like this, you know. But so I was in Austin the first day for most of the day, and then on Wednesday night, and then half of Thursday, so almost 2 days. You know, I am originally from the West Coast, and I have some very close friends in Portland, Oregon, and it's interesting because I know people don't want to hear this, but there's a lot of similarities between Portland, Oregon, and Austin. And I know when you mention Oregon, because my friend's from Oregon and she mentioned where she was from, people were like, oh, you know, it's interesting because I know a lot of people, you know, there's kind of this rivalry between the two because they both want to be weird. So, but if you really want weird, come to New York City and stand in Central Park or on the subway platform. That'll be really weird. Pretty much, I hate saying it, guys, but it kind of trumps both of this. But there's 8 million people there, so it's kind of hard to argue with. But yeah, so in some ways it reminds me of Seattle here, and in some ways it reminds me of Portland, the structure. So what I'm finding with Austin in a lot of ways is very similar to the Pacific Northwest, not weather-wise, but as far as the way that the city is built in parts. And what's interesting is they have Voodoo Donut here, which is Portland, so I think they would shun that, but they don't. And that's what I like about Austin. They're okay. They're like, you know what? It's a little bit of choo-choo to Portland, but they're okay. So it definitely has its own vibe, but the street structure really reminds me of Seattle, where I lived for a little bit, and Portland. The feel is very casual. The feel is very be who you are, do what you do. interesting mix, because when people think of the South, they think of maybe a little bit more strict, or they have a very different social code than other parts of the country sometimes, because the South, all the regions do. I mean, the Northeast, or even Boston, is very different from Chicago and New York, and even the different southern states, but they definitely have, the South has a different history, a different feel to it. And Austin is kind of different in that way. San Antonio had the Mexican, Spanish, Texan history, and you could feel it there. Austin is most definitely in Texas, but it's a lot more, it's just different. It's like the city that came from somewhere else and was dropped in the middle of Texas. And I say that in a way that, just know I haven't traveled a lot of Texas. Texas is ginormous, and so, I only went around 2 hours radius, so take what I'm saying lightly here. So if I have it wrong, sorry, Texas. But, it's quirky. Austin's very quirky. Much like San Antonio, it's very spread out. I'm going to be going into the main tourist area today and seeing what to do, but there's a lot to do, and the food is amazing. So if you like food, this is a great city for you. You're not going to grow tired of the options. There's a good music scene. Unfortunately, I didn't see any of it. I ended up going to a dive bar, and it was kind of a big mistake. Yeah, weak drinks and really not great service, but I'm not going to name names, but wow, it was not ideal, and I should have gone and seen music instead, but I know we all make mistakes in life. That was mine. I paid $6 for a 7-Up, basically. So far I really like the vibe of Austin. It's a very free area, people do what they do and nobody really cares. So I kind of like that, that's, it's really appealing to me, just because do what you do, and Austin has that feel. Very nice people too, though. What the nice thing is for the most part, I mean, there's jerks everywhere. But for the most part, I find that people, they do what they do and they're happy doing it, and they're very, very polite, and very welcoming to people. I've been in cities where, small towns where the outsiders weren't always appreciated. That's not the case here in Austin. It's a big city, but it's nice. There's a nice feel to it. It's a very welcoming feel. It has a fun, interesting vibe to it. I can see why it's very popular. But, it's kind of, I guess, like everybody's like, you're going to love it the most. But because I have friends in Portland, Oregon, it's very similar. So I'm like, yeah, I know this feeling. Of course, Austin is warmer. It's more humid than Portland. And it has its own special vibe because there's a lot of Mexican influence, though there is a lot of great Mexican food in Portland and Washington too. But thanks to the immigration from California up. But yeah, just know that the Mexican food is amazing here, Tex-Mex, and sorry New York, your Mexican food stinks. I still haven't found a good restaurant there. But yeah, so I'm excited to look more at Austin and see what it has to offer. So there'll probably be more to this video, but first impressions, it's pretty cool, quirky, fun, and you don't know what you're gonna find walking on the streets, which I kind of like, as long as it's not in a scary way. Then that's not. No smiles there from Binky, but yeah, so I'll definitely be checking out more. I checked out the state capitol yesterday. It's just kind of, it was a nice building, but you kind of have to do it. It's a state capitol. And then I went to the botanical gardens because it was kind of near the airport, and I thought I was leaving. Got some great Mexican food, walked around the city. So I haven't done a lot of go into and do things here. Because I find that so far there's not a lot of that. It's kind of like you live here, you do things, and I'm sure there's a lot of tourist stuff, and maybe I'm just not seeing it, but I don't know if that's the scene so much. Like San Antonio was more of, here's the history, here's all these tourist stuff. I'm not really seeing that in Austin. It's more of a walk around, be seen, listen to some music, get some food, chill. That's more Austin. So if that, isn't what you're looking for, and you're looking for a little bit more of the history of Texas, you may have to go to a different city for that. Though I'm sure Austin has it. I'm just finding that San Antonio was more of that aspect, the history aspect, versus Austin, which I'm sure has a rich history, but that's not necessarily what people are focusing on. They're focusing on the culture of Austin, is how I feel as an outsider. And if you're from Austin, you're like, you're wrong. I'm just looking at it from an outsider's point of view. So, yeah. So I'm going to go check it out, and I'll be posting some of the videos from my trip up here soon. I'm still working on Finland, Iceland, Midwest. I am so slow, but I'm going to get this up. I'm working on it as soon as I get back. After my flight delay finally gets fixed and I'm back on the plane tomorrow. So can't complain, get an extra day on Delta. So see you later. Bye.